AITA for ruining a wedding by not telling my friend I was on medication. My friend Sarah was getting married, and I was lucky enough to be in the wedding party, not Mo, but bridesmaid. She had an outdoor wedding that had limited bathroom availability. Obviously, because it was outdoors, she rented 4 of those, not a porta potty like you would see at a construction site, but a nicer portable one that's longer that they might set up for more sophisticated outdoor events like tennis or polo. 2 for women, 2 for men, 4 total. The wedding in total was about 150 to 200 ppl. I should also mention that due to some health problems, I started taking a medicine that has possible side effects as diarrhea. When you look up medicines which have a million side effects, you tend to just take that and say, well, they have to say it has all that, I still need to take the medication. I didn't think to mention this to anyone for a number of reasons. 1. As I just said, medicine side effects vary depending on what it is, and commercials and scripts usually overstate them. 2. What am I going to say to her before the wedding, that I'm taking his medication and it might have side effects in general? I've never struggled with incontinence or IBS or anything like that in the past. It's a little while before the ceremony is about to start, and I'm being pulled into a million directions helping out, and I start to feel a bit of a stomachache, and then we all get shuffled up to the front without warning. Whatever, I'm at the wedding, I can't go run out for Tums, it will be fine. Patch elbow starts playing, everything is in place. All of a sudden, I feel a deep pain in my bowels. For 20 seconds I'm just standing there thinking, do I have to go, what do I do, I don't know, trying to process the situation while remaining composed. It happens. I'm not going to go into detail here because it was embarrassing and traumatizing, needless to say I excused myself. After dealing with the whole situation, I was there standing outside the bathroom not sure what to do next. I had assumed the ceremony had continued to go on, do I go back? There's no way. They're in the middle of their vows, and here comes shit girl. So I waited a while as to not interrupt anything. 2 of the other bridesmaids found me crying eventually and told me that Sarah was upset and said I should leave, so I did, in shame. It all happened over the weekend, and it's now Tuesday night. I had sent an apology text to Sarah, but I haven't heard anything from her or anyone else in the wedding party. Am I the asshole for ruining the wedding and not letting my friend know about my medication? AITA. Comment. Your meds are your business. Unfortunate that the event had your friend down in the dumps. As yes, it would. But it was an accident you couldn't have predicted. I would think you would have wanted to leave. But sounds like she dumped you and is ghosting you now. Doubt even Depends could have spared you. NTA. A good friend would have checked on you and made sure you were okay. I don't know when brides started acting so entitled and crazy, but it's insane they can't act maturely and behave like they care about others despite the fact that it's their wedding day. Sorry you have crap friends that aren't a bit more understanding. Does she think you did this on purpose or something? Think I'm on your side just because a medication listed that as a side effect. I wouldn't really be expecting it to that extent. Tell her bluntly what happened and how you attempted to handle it. Either she loves you and accepts your shitty self, or not. Either way you are better off knowing. Sorry, my meds acted up and I shit all over myself. I was able to clean up, but left because. I hope your day was amazing and the only shitty thing was those panties I had to throw away. You didn't want to do what you did but had no control over it. It's one of those situations where both parties are right. You can be upset because it wasn't your fault and obviously didn't mean for it to happen, you just couldn't do anything about it. They can be mad that you ruined what was supposed to be their perfect night even though you didn't mean to. You will just have to make your peace with it. Good luck. But hopefully you find or make friends that you can talk poop with. The last wedding I was a bridesmaid in, we had a medicine kit packed by the bride with all the pain relievers and anti-diarrheals you could need. It was awesome, all medical things like eye drops, Neosporin, bandages etc., it's her travel kit. We also talked about our bubble gut before the wedding, and I'm pretty sure almost every girl had diarrhea before the vows. It's a very understanding group of gals and I was so happy to be a part of it. Next story 2. AITA for having my dad go to the car to talk to my mom and sister during my wedding about their behavior. Last week, my husband, Arthur, and I got married. Arthur and I have been dating since the 5th grade. We got pregnant with our daughter, Violet, when we were 15. After Violet was born, we decided we wanted to wait before making any big decisions about our lives. Last year, Arthur and I decided it was finally time for us to get married. He went out and bought a ring, and shortly after we started making wedding plans. Our daughter Violet is everything to us and we wanted to make sure that she was a part of helping out with the wedding. Violet had her own stuff going on with school, but she was helping us decide how she would be a part of our wedding throughout. During this process, as I said, she had her own stuff going on. Violet is autistic and has never been very social. She hasn't been bullied but also didn't have many friends. This is why we were surprised when she told us a boy, Brighton, asked her to be her Valentine this year. She then told us how he would always invite her to play with his team and he'd teach her the skills for the games and they'd win because him and his friends were athletic boys, on the baseball team, and she thought he was out of her league. In the past 6 to 7 months, he and Violet have been dating and Violet has become much more social. Violet was also never a hugger or kisser, even refusing them from me and Arthur, but with Brighton, she is normally the one asking for hugs and kisses. Brighton was invited to the wedding and Violet helped him find a matching suit with her dress and he's been amazing during this process. We helped his baseball team's fundraiser by buying magnets for them and putting them in the goodie bags. During the wedding last week, Brighton and Violet shared a slow dance, and in Violet's speech, she mentioned how she hoped her and Brighton would end up like us one day. Violet was with him almost the entire time. The issue with this was how my mother and my sister reacted. Both of them kept asking me what Violet was so attached to Brighton, especially when she wouldn't even hug or kiss them or Arthur and me. I told them to let it go, but they kept insisting to me it was disrespectful. Our dad tried intervening, telling them to lay off, but they wouldn't. I then asked to speak to Dad privately and asked him if he could move this convo to the car and try to get to them. He did that, and after about 20 minutes they finally came back. Shortly after the wedding was over, both Mom and my sister were texting me saying it was rude of me to put my issues onto him and insisted I should talk to my daughter about how family is just as important as Brighton. AITA. Comment. Your mother and sister are jealous of a 13-year-old's relationship. I can't stop laughing about that. Your daughter is a teenager who has her first boyfriend, of course he is going to be the center of her world. They are total AHs for feeling the need to address this at the wedding, and it was very gracious of your father to spend 20 minutes of his time calming them down. I could have a little more respect for you mom and sister if they are worried that Brighton will break Violet's heart one day. Maybe he will, and you, her mother, will help her deal with that if occurs. They don't need to butt in where they aren't needed. This. Especially since very few 13-year-olds hug and kiss their family unless it's demanded of them, either outright or by social norms. I have a sneaking suspicion that had Violet been neurotypical rather than autistic, they wouldn't have made it this huge issue even with the same preferred level of hugs and kisses throughout her life. They did not talk about that at all. They were all about how Violet was physically affectionate with her boyfriend but not her family. They're just jealous that the boyfriend gets all the affection they felt entitled to from Violet. The reason I brought up her autism is that in my experience people with that sort of mindset have a much easier time cutting anti-relatives some slack. I've also got a sneaking suspicion that Up and Arthur have been telling the family that they need to respect Violet's boundaries and only hug her if she consents rather than forcing Violet to hug people because family, so now that Violet has someone that she enthusiastically consents to being touched by, they are offended and seem to think that consent is transferable. TBH, I'm guessing that Brighton's respect of her boundaries while still offering her opportunities to expand her social comfort zone is one of the things that attracts her to him. And as long as Up and hubby make it clear to Violet, not everyone marries their first love/high school sweetheart, and if they do, it doesn't always end well. Basically, your dad and I are the exception not the norm sort of talk, and the whole no sex and safe sex talk. Then hopefully Violet will have the tools she needs to navigate this relationship to whatever its future is. It's actually good for Violet to explore this side of herself, and she is lucky to have found someone she is comfortable around to do it. I have yet to meet someone who behaves exactly the same around their partners, friends, and family.